Hello everyone, it's Dawn here from Dawn's Inspirations. I just wanted to share a quick tutorial with you today on how to make a hinge system for our cereal box album cover. This was the album cover that we made using a normal household cereal box and actually using the side of the box to be the spine of our mini books. I did a tutorial on this and this has gone down really well. And I've done a follow-up book on it, but some of you have asked for some different ideas to make some hinge systems to go in this particular book. So I was going to share that with you today. I've got two ideas. So the first one we're going to do is going to be a stack the deck hinge system. So what I've gone ahead and done is I've measured the spine of my box. So of course everybody's box is going to be slightly different. Now my spine measures 1 3/4. So the first measurement I'm going to use is I'm going to come in from that, and I've used a measurement of 1 1/2. And then from that 1 1/2 measurement, I've then added a 1/2 inch both sides. So I've come up with a total of 2 1/2 inches. Okay, and then obviously I've used the length of my book. Now this book is measuring 6 1/2 inches long, so I'm going to put 6-inch pages into this, so I've got a gap each end and each way round. Okay, so I've got a piece of paper here now measuring 2 1/2 inches by 6 inches. So this is going to be the first part of our stack the deck hinge. So now I've got a measurement of 2 1/2, so my next measurement down is going to be 1 inch down from this measurement. So you take 1/2 inch off. So my next stack or stack hinge is going to be 1 1/2 inches by 6 inches. So I hope that's clear to everybody. So if you measure your box, come a little bit in from your measurement, use that measurement plus 1 inch to make your first base, and then each one that you want to put on top of that, come 1 inch in. So I'll show you what we're going to do. So you're going to need your score pal or your scoreboard. So I'm going to get the piece that measures the 2 1/2 inches, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to score at 1/2 inch in from both sides. So I'm actually scoring this at 1/2 inch and at 2 inches. Now obviously depending on the cereal box you've used, your measurement is going to be different, as I say, and that's why I'm sort of trying to show you how to work the measurement out. But it's a very quick and easy system to use. So that's the first one. So I've got a 1/4 inch score line in from both sides, because these are actually going to be our hinges, which you will see as we go along. This is the one that's measuring 1 1/2. So I'm going to score this at 1/2 inch and also 1 inch. Now, as a lot of you know, I like to score both sides to break down the fibres of your paper and cardstock, because obviously it's got a memory of being flat, and I now don't want it to be flat. So I'm using some thick cardstock here today, as it's going to be a hinge. So the first thing we're going to do is to now burnish our score lines. So as I say, I'm using quite a thick cardstock here. So just give it a nice good burnish down. Okay, so that's the first one. And now we're going to do the second one. Now this stack the deck hinge system is used by Laura Dennison from Following the Paper Trail. That's where I've seen it used. I don't know whether she invented the idea or whether it's something that she's picked up along the way, but I have seen her use it. So that's where I've got the idea from, and I have used it a lot. So fold all these, burnish these lines in. Now the reason it's called stack the deck is this piece is going to go on top of that piece, so we now have 4 hinges. So we'll just stick that on. So for the purposes of the video, I'm just going to use a tape run here today for quickness. If I was using this in an album, I would use the red double-sided tape because it's stronger. Now you're thinking, how am I going to get that in the middle of there? Now if you bear in mind, this is that inside flat measurement, so it makes it really easy to know where you're going. So all you do is you line that line up with your score line, and then you know it's bang in the middle. So that's why this system is so quick and easy to do. Just moved it a bit there. Sorry. Let's just line that up again. And then we just burnish that down with our bone folder. So as you can see, it lays one on top of the other, so they stack. So if I wanted 6 hinges, I would make another piece, but I would do it at 3.5 inches. So you can then build up and make as many hinges as you wish. Now, if I bring my hinges up just to show you, that's my hinges. I've allowed a 1/2 inch gap in between, and I do that for the purposes of when you add your pages, you can then add your embellishments and photographs and not worry about everything being squashed up. Now, if you're making a book and you don't want so much gap, all you need to do is your space in between, do it 1/4 inch. So do 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch. But I would always allow 1/2 inch for the spine pieces, but your spaces in between, you could go 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch, your choice entirely. Another thing I would do to attach pages is if you just miter the corners with your scissors. I'll just bring this around this way. It just helps if you're doing something like a paper bag album, or you're doing an envelope one that's sliding over the top. By having the corners mitered, it just means you get a nice neat finish to your hinge system. So this is the hidden hinge system, and now that measurement, the outside measurement we had, all I would do now is I would glue all of that. I would use double-sided red tape again, and that would stick inside my book. Now if I was using this hinge system in the book, I would cover the whole of the back, and then I would just stick that on top, and I would use a cardstock that coordinates with what I'm using. So that is the stack the deck system. I'll just show you what it looks like in a book. So if you used it in a book, what you would do is I've used a coordinating cardstock with the tabs I've got, so it all matches in nicely, and then of course the paper is covered in the paper, so it's just a nice neat hinge system. Okay, so that's the stack the deck system. If you wanted to do a stack the deck and actually attach your pages, which is quite easily done, I've done that on one of my other tutorials. This is a one and done album. I've done a tutorial for this, and I have used the stack the deck system in here, but I've used it with my actual pages. So if you look at my pages here, if I lay it down this way so you can see on the camera, this is page 1. So I've got a wider hinge there. This then is page 2, so my hinge is a little bit narrower. This is page 3, my hinge goes narrower still. This is page 4, my hinge goes narrower still, and this is page 5, my hinge goes narrower still. So you can see, even with using a whole sheet of 6 by 12 inch paper and folding it to make your pages, you can add your hinge, stack them on one on top of the other, and still make your book. So with the stack the deck system, you can do it with your pages and add to the back of your book, or with a hinge system and add your pages after. Okay, so that's the stack the deck hinge system, which works very well with the cereal box cover we've got there. So that's the first system I wanted to show you. The next one I want to show you is the hidden hinge system. Now the hidden hinge system is done by Kathy Otter on the internet. Now a lot of people get a bit confused with how she does it, because she has pieces that come up the side of your book, and once you start adding those elements, sometimes when you fold it, it either pulls on the pages or it doesn't fold properly, and that's why a lot of people get a bit muddled up with it. So I've adapted it slightly to fit in like our stack the deck system, but it's a hidden hinge system, and I'll show you how we do that. For the purposes today, I've got a piece of cardstock which is 6 inches down, again the same, and this one is measuring 4.5 inches. So we're going to go ahead and start scoring, and for this one I'm going to score at 1/4 inch to start with, and then I'm going to do everything at 1/2 inch increments until the last 1/4 inch. So I've got 1/4 inch, so then I'm going to go 3/4 inch, and then I'm going to go 1 1/4, and then I'm going to go 1 3/4, and then I'm going to go 2 1/4, and then I'm going to go 2 3/4, and then I'm going to go 3 1/4, and then I'm going to go 3 3/4, and then I'm going to go 4 1/4, and then that will give me my 1/4 inch on that end. And I'm going to flip it over and do exactly the same again, because you know I like to double score. Now, as I say, this hidden hinge system is really strong and durable. Great if you're doing a mini album with lots of pages to it, because it will take the weight of that. But as I say, it does frighten people when they come to attach it to their book. But we can overcome that with no problem at all. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold up this first 1/4 inch piece, because this is going to be the flat piece that actually is going to stick to the back of the spine of our book here. Okay, so then we need to sort of do valleys and mountains. Okay, so this first one is going to come up, so I'm going to turn the paper over, and I'm just going to score that. Now before we go any further, I'm going to glue those two together, because this is where a lot of people get muddled up. I use tape again just for my tape runner just for camera purposes, but if I was using this as an album I would use the red line tape again. So just score that down. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to then burnish that side. Now this album does benefit a lot of burnishing. It really does hold up to that. So that now is the bit that's going to attach the back of the book, and that's our first hinge. Now the next 1/4 inch is going to be what I call our spacer, which is going to be the gap in between. So we don't do anything really with that fold line, but the second fold line we now need to come up to be our mountain, ready for our next hinge. So I'm just going to fold that back on itself, and I'm now going to put some glue on that. I'm gluing as I go along, because there again, this is where a lot of people do get in a muddle, because they're putting all the tape on and they don't know what bit they take, which bits are fold and which bits are spacer. So I find by doing it as I go along, it's easier. I've run a day class using this hinge system, and I found with my ladies, as we did it as we went along, everybody got the idea of the hinge. So just now burnish that the other way. So I'm using a very thick cardstock here, and it's taking this. So now I have 2 hinges. So my next 1/4 inch is going to be a space. So I now need to fold on that second fold. So I just fold that over. I'm going to put some tape on that now, so I know which piece is my hinge and which piece is my space. Fold that on there now. I've got my little 1/4 inch piece, which I'm going to fold back at this stage. I'm going to bring this over and I'll burnish on that side as well. So now, as you look at it, you've got your 3 hinges, 2 spacers, and your 2 1/4 inch pieces there at the end as well. Now with this hinge system, it does warrant from being really played with, if you like. So flatten it one way and get your hinges to go the other way. It will stand up to a lot of wear, this type of hinge. So if you've got an album that's going to be looked at a lot, this hinge does work. but don't be frightened by it at all, and I find this way works better rather than having big strips that are trying to attach to the back of the cover. So as long as you're using the red double-sided tape, you'll get a really good stick on this. Again with this, I would get my scissors and just mitre the ends, just because purely if you're trying to attach envelopes, as in an envelope mini or paper bags, it's easier to attach them. If I was attaching pages with this, I would also use the red double-sided tape on here. So you need to put tape on both sides and then stick your pages. Okay, and then what I would do with this, I would put tape all across the back. I've got some thick tape here, I'll just get some to show you. I would put tape all across the back and then stick it in. So I'm just going to down here like this, right to the edge of that 1/4 inch mark. And do the same on the other side here. Very sticky, this tape, and then I would really burnish that down before sticking it into my album. So that's all nicely burnished down. That's my hinges there. So this then would fit inside there. So what I would do with this hinge system again is I would have my paper coming all the way across, but by having it sit, I don't know whether you can quite see that on the camera, it sits in between my two score lines of the cereal box, so I haven't got to worry when I open the pages that anything is pulling. If I had a big piece attached to here, it would pull, it would tear, and this is why a lot of people do get in a bit of a muddle with this hinge system. But if I show you on the outside, see, it fits nicely. That might be a better way of showing. If you see, it fits quite nicely between the two sort of the two fold lines. So you've got a tiny little gap, but then that allows, if you've got a page on here again, that you can add embellishments, no problem at all. So that is the hidden hinge system. So that's how you would attach it to your cereal packet. So you've now got a hidden hinge system and a stack the deck hinge system that you can use in your cereal packets. As I was saying again with this one, you look closely, I've allowed the 1/4 and a 1/2 inch gap between these, so you allow space for adding all your embellishments. The book opens up nice and flat, so you can go through your pages quite happily. Okay, there's a lot of weight on these pages. This is a whole sheet of 12 by 12 with 2 tags, thick heavy cardstock tags, and you've got a cardstock tag in the top as well on this book. So there's a lot of weight on each of these hinges, but it takes it quite well, and all that is done is stuck on the back. Okay, so it does work. That's just a cereal packet and a hinge system. The other hinge system I do is the one that we used in the 6x6 mini album in an hour, and this is what I call the individual hinge system. If I just show you on here, and this is where you attach, you cut your size of your page and you add a hinge strip, and then you attach to your next page and add a hinge strip. Now this works really well with this type of album where you've got a front and back hardcover and a soft back. I have tried it in the cereal packet backing, but I found because it's got a hard back on it, the album doesn't quite lay as well. I mean, in this album, because the back is soft, the pages all lay open quite happily. But I did try it in the cereal packet, attaching the 2 pages, so these pages would be attached to here and keeping the back loose, and it was pulling a bit on this part of the cover, and I thought I didn't quite like the look of that. So personally, I would either go with a hidden hinge or a stack the deck in the cereal packet cover of your album. So there's 2 hinge ideas that you can use for your cereal packet mini albums. I hope you've enjoyed it and it's answered the couple of questions that people put to me. I'm also going to be doing a couple of more albums with this using different pocket folds. We've done the pocket fold album here. I've got a couple of other ideas on a similar vein that I've been trying out with this, so I will get those videoed and get them uploaded as soon as I can. And people have also asked for add-on pages to the 6x6 mini album in an hour, and I've got some ideas up my sleeve with that, and I will get back to you on that one as well. So there's the hinge systems for your cereal box. So I'm Dawn from Dawn's Inspirations. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye for now.